Lots of great things. So please stay tuned. We will be right back. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Today, we're talking about traditional culture, how to market it to international customers, international visitors in Japan. We have Kyoko Nagano, who's been doing that for many years. Thank you so much for joining, Kyoko.
Thank you very much for having me, Joy.
Thank you. How's the weather in Tokyo today?
It's been weird, a little bit of rain, but it's hot as usual.
Yeah, very, very hot. When is summer over? Have we passed Manatsu? Have we passed the middle of summer yet?
I hope so, but it doesn't seem like it is.
I'm not sure we have. Yeah. Do you want to start by just briefly introducing yourself a little bit?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Kyoko Nagano. I have three businesses running centered around Japanese culture. Yeah. Interestingly, I used to live in overseas for 17 years in four countries, and I felt that I'm not really familiar with Japanese culture myself. I mean, I learned so many Japanese cultural experiences like calligraphy or tea ceremony, but I felt that I'm not knowing much. So when I came back from Thailand in 2016, I felt that I need to do something with the Japanese culture. And then I started to do some volunteering things for the cultural teachers. And eventually I launched a company called MyPal and Sake Lovers. And then now we just launched Hakko Farm. And I'm also helping the female organization called For Empowering Women in Japan. So that's
Yeah.
the that's
You're doing a lot. So you lived in South Korea, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, America, and then came back to Japan in 2016. Is that right?
I was born in Seoul, Korea, so my younger days I spent a lot of time in overseas countries, and I came back at the age of 12, and I went to Japanese school ever since.
So do you speak other languages besides English and Japanese?
I used to speak a little bit of Thai when I was living there for 5 years. I took Thai language school for 2 years, so
Wow. I love Thailand. I've been to Thailand many times to do rock climbing and enjoy the beautiful beaches, and I love the food and everything. Let's introduce your two companies. So tell us about MyPal. What does MyPal do?
yes. So when I came back in 2016, I started to see my teachers and I started to relearn some of the Japanese culture, which I used to love. And when I visited my friends' teachers, they said that not many Japanese young generations are interested in Japanese culture. So it's really sad, but young generation is only interested in like animations or um, comic books or watching some YouTubes and stuff like that, and they're not interested in learning calligraphy or tea ceremony or whatever. And I began to think that maybe if there's foreign nationals start to visit their places, and maybe they some of the neighbors might start to feel, oh, what's going on? Is it like a popular place? And I was hoping that could attract more of a foreign nationals and also the Japanese nationals if people start to go there. So I started to help the Japanese cultural teachers voluntarily. I made a manual for them and I matched my expat friends who wants to learn about the Japanese culture. So they can either learn it for free or just pay for the ingredients or whatever. And then once my teachers get confident with their English, I put them on Airbnb, TripAdvisor, and all of those tourist platforms so that they can start earning money. Then, thankfully, my teachers, about 17 teachers, became popular. And one of the teachers had like 200 tourists in a month. So then I started to earn money from them. They started to pay me like 10% of their earnings through those platforms because I set up their accounts and I set them all of their description in those platforms.
Yeah,
So
that's great. I'm showing your MyPal Facebook page right now. So the kinds of activities you were helping to promote was like a day trip to Tsukiji fish market, going to the Temple Book Workshop,
yes.
doing Ikebana, shamisen, and lots of activities like that. Have you been able to, during the coronavirus, transition to more of a online support for these businesses?
Actually, for like a norimaki or decorated norimaki, we started to do the online cooking classes so that people can enjoy at home with their kids. Especially, kids were at home, so we wanted to do something that would be happy, that would make family happy. So there will be like kids and moms joined together, learning how to make norimaki. Yeah, so that was the idea, which started from the COVID when COVID happened. So
And that has been, are you doing that in Japanese or English or both?
in both.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we're now trying to put a lot of the teachers' contents into Udemy, which is the learning contents. So the video filming is starting from like this month. So we created all of the manuals. Like it's like a 15 minutes learning courses. So it has to have like 12 sessions. So I'm shifting a lot of my teachers who are on the Airbnb, which is Advisor or other platforms, um, because tourists is not coming back soon. So it's better to have their contents up on the Udemy or some of the educational channels instead. So I've been working hard on those recently.
Yeah. It looks like you had a wagashi making session, wagashi and tea ceremony. Maybe that was one of the in-person sessions, not
Yeah,
online.
yeah.
So it's still been possible to do some events in person.
Yes. So those are only limited to like 5 people. Normally the place is available for 12 people or more, but we limited the number to 5 so that people can still enjoy in a safe condition.
Hmm. Wagashi is one of my favorite things to promote because it's very traditional Japanese culture. It's beautiful. It's something that people are very interested in, and it's also vegan and often quite a healthier sweet version than traditional Western sweets, right? So there's so many things, so many points of appeal for wagashi, often gluten free as well, right?
Yes, because it's mostly the rice flour, not mochi flour, glutinous flour. They are gluten free.
Yeah.
It's not wheat flour, so
But it is, if you're buying from a shop, it is good to ask if it's vegan or if it's gluten free, because sometimes they do make like a modern version with cream or
right.
I think just cream or different ingredients. Sometimes it's not vegan, or it's
Um,
not gluten free.
I would say if they're using eggs, like kimishigure, like
Mm.
one of the wagashi uses eggs, but other than that, it's mostly vegan.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah,
for the beautiful shaped ones are vegan,
yeah,
and also they
I
use
love it. I love it. Yeah, and it's not too sweet. I remember when I first came to Japan and I was making chocolate chip cookies. And then sometimes I would take it to my office, my teaching office, because we would always share sweets next to the tea service area. And we often had souvenirs, omiyage, which is wagashi from around Japan. And I found that really sweet. But then when I would give them chocolate chip cookies, a lot of the older teachers would be like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy sweet! Like, what's wrong with this?" So it's just like a different type of sweet. But I was really happy when I learned that wagashi is actually healthier. There's very little sugar that goes inside.
As one of the things that I might speak later on, but I'm into the fermentation
Yeah,
food,
I
and
definitely want to talk to you about that a lot. I know that you're interested in healthy food, and we're going to talk about that with your Hakko Farms.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely. So yes, so go back to the MyPal thing. So a lot of the teachers are still struggling because of the COVID situation. I it's my passion to introduce the Japanese culture to the people around the world. So that's behind the MyPal thing that I started, and I'm also supporting the. Speaking of the vegan, I'm also supporting the artist. This is called Veggie Sushi. It's a vegan sushi.
Hmm.
Sorry for the my background, so it might not see
No, no,
the.
I could see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, so this one is the vegan sushi, which became #1 on the Amazon book chart, and I've been helping all of the overseas vegan sushi workshops around the world. Um, Hokusai Kitchen, Sogen is a friend of mine, and he's the one who created this vegan sushi concept. And
Yeah, it's beautiful.
recently, I went to Thailand, Vietnam, Singapore, yeah, those places, and also San Francisco. Um, so that was quite interesting trip to
Yeah.
introduce the vegan sushi.
So most of the veggie sushi, vegan sushi that he does, it's the long, like row type. It's so beautiful with all the layers of vegetables. Does it
Yes.
also have rice mixed in?
Yes. In the middle layer, we can put some of the other stuff like avocados or like onions or mushrooms in the middle layer. Um, on the top and the bottom part is mostly sushi rice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I actually had a chance to do that when I stayed at a guest house run by a couple that used to run a restaurant and then now transitioning into like really nice vegan food guest house. So I hope after COVID they can start up again because it's such a great concept. And I think it's something, everybody can eat and everybody can try to make it. Of course, my version was so much less beautiful than the teacher's version. Even though I was following the same process, somehow the teacher is definitely the expert.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that you were also doing the online cooking class for mochi
Yes.
and norimaki, the decorative rice ball, the rolled rice ball.
Yes, I'm helping the Noriko sensei, who is located in Kyoto, and she is one of the members of the Nihon Dekomaki Association, Japan Decoration Makizushi Association, and I'd love to help her out during those sessions. So yes, that's one of the things that'll be on the Udemy soon. But
And
yes,
I think that's such a magical, wonderful thing about your MyPal business is that you have set it up to collaborate with and promote other friends. That's why you call it MyPal, right?
yes,
And it's such a great platform to promote other people. But like you said, it also helps fund you and what you're trying to do in your career. So,
right.
yeah, really well done. Great job.
Thank you so much. It's happened organically, and eventually it's ended up as a business. However, I don't feel like it's business. I'm kind of enjoying it myself, doing it. So that's one of the happy thing that I do.
That is the best kind of business, right? Some doing something that you love.
Yes,
And then
yes,
it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like something you want to do, right?
right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about fermented foods and drinks.
Yes,
Can you introduce Hakko Farms?
yes. So our CEO Hiroshi, he is the graduate of University of Agriculture, and he is known as an Amazake researcher. His website is amazake.com, and he has over like 800 reviews of Amazake in Japan. So he's more like a Amazake geek, and he's been featured in the Starbucks wellness booklet, and also recently in Yomiuri Shimbun. And I think this in about a week or so, he will be on NHK for Ohio Nippon. So he's very much of a Amazake fermented food geek, and we're working together. And I'm in love with the amazake. It's so nutritional and healthy. Um, if you add yeast to it, then that can be like a sake. But without the yeast, it is a natural fermented drink, very traditional. In summertime, it's really known as a good to drink in the summertime to um, re-energize yourself. Um, it's known as a summer drink actually, but when you think about the original ingredients of rice and the koji mold, after you fermented the amazake, there will be over 200 new ingredients created from after the fermentation. So I feel that this koji mold, we have a Japanese traditional mold koji, if you know much about koji, but I think that's like a miracle mold, and I'm so fascinated with the how it can work so healthy. And this is the book that's been launched in February. It's called Hakko Anko no Yatsu. No sugar is used. So um, it's really cool that you can ferment beans or even with the pumpkins or potatoes, anything with the starch, with the koji rice, so that you don't need to add any sugar to so it can be used in the bakings like cakes or even with wagashi sweets. So I feel there's a lot of needs in this area, and also it's really great that a lot of health benefits like it's good for your intestine, it's good for your skin, and even you have diabetes, the hike of the blood um, blood sugar level will be suppressed if you eat this with the nuts. So I think it has a really big potential as an industry. So it's very traditional methods, but no one has created the fermented veggies before in the same method that ferment same with the amazake method. So we just implemented the traditional amazake method into the veggies. So now we're talking with the bakeries or the wagashi makers if they want to use our hakko anko.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And in terms of sustainability, isn't it a byproduct of making sake or it's part of the sake making process?
Well, to be honest, it's not a byproduct. When you make the koji rice, if you want to make a sake, you just need to add yeast, water, and another rice, and that's how the sake is made. However, amazake is rice and koji mold. So when you marinate the mold, when you hear mold, it doesn't sound attractive, but when you marinate this green mold into steamed rice, then interestingly, the koji, the power of the koji will turn the starch into sugar. So with the power of enzyme, they cut those starch chains into the small little amino acid, and it will turn. So it has a lot of enzyme as well, but it's very nutritional and natural sweet.
And of course, the benefit of having fermented food, like you said, is so good for your skin. It's so
Mm,
good for your gut, you
yes,
healthy gut bacteria, which
yes,
there's a lot of colon cancer in Japan. So this has particular health benefits for people who maybe eat a bit too much salt or sugar in their diet. It helps you have more balance as
mm,
well. For people who don't know, maybe in the States or something, amazake means sweet sake,
mm.
right?
But it's not sake. It has no alcohol in it.
Yeah.
So
Very important to remember. If someone offers you amazake, don't worry, you're not going to get drunk. It has no alcohol in it. I know people who drink it with their breakfast.
right. Um, I personally drink it with like a kale. And because if you drink amazake itself, it's quite sweet. So sometimes I mix it with soy milk or kale drink that I like, that I drink in the morning. So
And
that will
it,
be
it is available pretty much everywhere. Like even convenience stores have amazake now. Sometimes it's hard to find if you don't read kanji, because
yeah.
often it's beautifully written in kanji, but a bit
the,
hard
the
to.
the only problem about there are so many fake amazakis out there.
Oh,
So there are some that's adding sugar or other stuff. So be careful
really?
when you buy the amazaki. And also there's another one that is made from the sakekasu. Like in the New Year's holiday season, when you go to temples and shrines, they serve you the amazake, but that amazake is made from the sake leaves and sugar. So, and there are some products which says amazake, but made from the sake leaves and sugar. So try to purchase the one that says koji amazake. Koji amazake is naturally from the koji rice. So,
Can you recommend a brand that you like?
Hakkai-san.
Hakkai-san. Okay, I'll try to find a. If you could send me a link, and we'll
Find
put
it.
it. We'll
Yeah,
put it
even
below.
if you find that most of the supermarkets you have the Hakkai-san, it's kind of like small little size. Now they now have a large sized bottle which is purple color, but it's not called amazake, it's called amasake. So they kind of rebrand themselves as a amasake, but very good idea. It's purple, so using the old and ancient black rice, which looks like purple color, and it almost feel like you're drinking acai because it has some of the acidity in it.
Wouldn't that be a good idea? Like how they make acai bowl, but instead of acai bowl, they make the amazake bowl and have like a frozen amazake smoothie and then fresh fruit and coconut and stuff. I think we just discovered a new product. Let's go for it. I like that idea. Of course, one of your main businesses is the sake lovers.
Yeah.
So let's talk about sake lovers. Can you introduce the company?
Yes. So Yuki Manishi is actually CEO and sake sommelier, and she's my friend. And when I met her, she was telling me how much sake breweries are struggling as a business. Um, it's known as a diminishing industry actually, because since 1975, the number of the sake breweries decreased to one third, and the production is no, I think it's about half, and then the production is now decreased to one third. So it's really diminishing industry. Back in the day, we had over like 3,000 sake breweries. Now we have about 1,300 ish. Due to the COVID, I think there will be about 200 sake breweries who would go out of the business, and we're really concerned about that. And Yuki, um, me myself and Yuki started this sake lovers in hope to help the small craft breweries. I'm not really interested in working for like a big corporate, which I used to work for, but I'm kind of interested in helping support the cultural industry. So sake was one of the industry which really needs a lot of help, and especially the small craft breweries. They are so small, they don't know how to market their products in Tokyo, and their products never been to Tokyo yet, or they don't have anyone who would sell their products and such. And we thought that, oh my God, this is so bad. I mean, we need to help them out. So that's how we started. And
Yeah, I love your idea of working with people who only know how to do business with a fax machine.
exactly.
That's quite a challenge, isn't it?
Yes, it is very challenge. They even, visit the restaurants or izakayas by appointment, and they take orders directly from them, and they take orders through fax. So when I heard, when I spoke with them, I was kind of shocked. that in this day and age, I don't know any other industry who still uses fax, but sake brewery obviously do. When you receive the sake bottles, they say, oh, you can order through fax with the fax ordering paper. But I don't know how there's anyone who would order through fax.
I think there is a lot. I've talked to a few people in the series who have renovated the akiya, the abandoned houses. And when you deal with renovation companies, when you deal with builders, they
Yes,
often want to communicate by fax as well in Japan. So maybe there's actually, besides sake business, there are other traditional businesses which are still using the fax as the main mode of communication.
that's true. That's true. I think Japan, everybody thinks that Japan is so advanced, but not really so. People still love papers. So it's really not good actually for the environment. But really, I was so amazed when I was so shocked even to hear that they take order through fax. And yes, so of course they would take order through email, but they don't speak English. So when foreign nationals visit them, they're kind of like in a afraid of foreigners because they don't know how to deal with them. But they're missing a lot of opportunities by doing so. So we decided to sell their products. And during this COVID situation, especially for those small craft sake breweries, we decided to start the online sake brewery tasting events.
Yeah, I saw on your Sake Lovers website, it says your products is the Reiwashu, the
Yes,
three goddesses set, the regional craft sake, and the OEM. And then the services are sake tours, sake tasting, sake export.
yeah.
So, which have you been able to continue during the coronavirus?
Actually, we already sold out the Reiwashu, our original brand, so we don't have that anymore. We did sell the three goddess sets, but other ancient black rice Hananoi, we all sold them out as well. So we still have the Shirayuki Hime, which is the Snow White, which is made by the female Toji. Um,
And Toji means the craftsperson who makes the sake at the brewery, right? Yeah.
Yes, it's more like a production manager of the sake. So the toji is the person who decide of what to make or control the sake conditions and things like that.
Well, congratulations on selling out of your original sparkling sake. That's
Yeah,
very exciting. Can you tell us about the Reiwashu?
yes. So Reiwashu, we collaborated with the sake brewery in Okayama Prefecture called Kamigokoro Shuzo. Um, they they make amazing sparkling sake using the white peach yeast. As you know, in Okayama Prefecture, white peach is one of the famous products in Okayama. So it's not like actual peach is inside; it's the yeast that's creating the secondary fermentation inside the bottle, just like the champagne is made. So you can, when you drink the reiwashu, you can feel a little bit of um, it's almost like a sparkling champagne. It's very delicate bubbles, and we did the launch party on the May 1st of the first day of the Reiwa at the Roppongi. So that was really interesting event.
Well, it's nice you did it before the coronavirus
Yeah,
happened. It says designed by women, new flavor and style for a new era. For people that don't know, this year in Japan is called Reiwa 2,
mhm,
I believe, and Reiwa started last year. Um,
yes.
and you say 10% of the profit goes to the Pink Ribbon campaign.
Yes. So we're the only company who donate the money to the Pink Ribbon campaign. They said that from the sake industry, we were the first company who approached to them and even donated the 10% of our profit. So they were really appreciative of that. The label design was created by my friend Julia. She's from United States, but she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I wanted to give some kind of like an opportunity because I know that she wanted to create the um, wine label back in the day. So I thought that it'll be a great opportunity for think about something that she loves during her battle with the cancer.
That's awesome. And it's a beautiful label. She did a great job.
Yes, we really love that label. It has the image of the Japanese national flag, and also it's the image of the um, plum flower, which is the theme of which is the name of the Reiwa came from, and also it kind of gives you the image of peach as well.
Yeah,
So
beautiful. I love it. And sparkling sake, I was first introduced to it by Imara Miho, who runs Fukucho Sake. She's the head brewery in the Hiroshima area. And she was talking about the need to appeal to young Japanese women to drink sake. That sake is a dying industry, and we need to get young Japanese people interested in sake. But I know that you've talked about that as well. Can you talk about that a little bit?
yes, it is dying industry. So all of the sake breweries need to come up with the different ideas, and not all of the sake breweries are creating sparkling sake, but we always tell the breweries that maybe if you can bring something like a yuzu sake or strawberry sake, um, that could be an eye opener for the younger generation because younger generation always think that sake is the elder's drink. It's like the old man's drink. So it's really the image is not good. They never have an image of drinking it with the wine glass. But there are a lot of sake. Um, some even taste like wine. So you should always try out the different kinds of a sake. Then one day you might find the sake which you like. So one time we did the event called the Nihonshu Seijinshiki. As you know, Seijinshiki is the coming of the adults day in January, but we invited this university students who are all, about 20 to learn about the sake. And there was about 100 students who joined the event.
Wow, great.
So we had this sponsorship from like a corporate and the brewery. So um, we could introduce that to the university students.
That's a great idea. On your website, you have a beautiful picture of your sparkling sake with wine
Yes.
glasses, and you
Mhm.
say to give a new perspective and life to sake beyond the image of izakaya and the stereotype. And I
Yes.
think that's a great goal to rejuvenate the industry. I love that idea.
Yes. So we felt that sparkling sake could be one of the thing that can revitalize the industry. So that's the reason why we launched the Reiwashu sparkling sake to be the eye opener, and especially we target among the females who say that who doesn't like sake much, but we thought that this can be an eye opener for those who says I don't like sake. So okay, please try this tastes like champagne. Then then some of my expat friends, they said that, oh, I never liked sake, but this one is so different. I love it. So we were really happy to hear that.
That's wonderful. And I always love the part of the sake tasting event where they have so many different flavors, so many different types. You're pairing different ones with different kinds of food, small dishes. Some, like sparkling sake, it goes really well with sweets.
Yes.
So, perfect for appealing to young women, right?
Mhm.
Everybody loves sweets. I know some men love sweets too, not just women.
It's also good with the appetizer when you do the cheers or toast. So it's absolutely good for
Yeah.
as an image. I think it's absolutely good.
That's great. And you're doing the subscription washukai, is that right?
Right. So Washukai Select, Actually, we stopped doing that due to the less demand. We are going to launch English only website called Sake Geek soon in about 2 months. So there we're going to put a lot of the information about the sake breweries and also about the simple things like how to drink sake or what kind of a vessel shall I drink with, from, or what kind of a temperature is good to pair with these kind of a thing. So some of the simples some sometimes you can learn about the vintage sake or what's the difference, how to make the vintage sake. Those kind of a geeky information you can find it from our website as well.
That's great. I would also suggest, I talked to Brian Ashcraft last
Mhm,
week, and he has written a book, the Sake Bible. And
mhm.
so we talked a lot about how the sake industry is so important, not only for sake, of course, and the sake breweries, but all the connected industry around it, like
Mhm,
the people that make the wooden barrels that
mhm.
keep the sake, or the rice growers,
Right,
and can you imagine Japan without all the beautiful rice field landscape, right? But
right.
the amount of people eating rice in Japan is decreasing. The amount of people buying
Right.
sake is decreasing in Japan. So you also talked about the export market.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So among the sake domestically produced, only 4% is going to overseas now. But those 4% is growing 20% every year. That means for the small craft breweries to survive, they must export their products. That's the only way for them to survive. So um, we're trying to export their small craft sake breweries as much as possible. However, their lot is quite small. They can't mass produce it, so it can be like 200 or 400 at the maximum for them to export their products. I feel that a lot of the industries, including sake, they need to seek other opportunities that could be overseas. If they can pair it well with the regional food in the foreign countries, then I think there could be a way to expand their business as well.
Yeah, and I would suggest anybody in Japan, or even anyone anywhere who has access to sake, just order it at the bar, buy it at a sake shop. Just keep trying different varieties. I don't know what the prices are abroad, but in Japan, sake is so reasonable. I got a giant bottle of very high quality sake for 1,500 yen. It's
Right,
so cheap, right? And that, I guess it just shows that there's just not much demand. The prices are really, really low.
right. I think it's all about the branding. A lot of, some of the highly priced, well-known brands are really good at the marketing, and their label looks great. So I feel that marketing is quite important. So if the sake brewery wants to make a popular sake for overseas, if it's in China, maybe they can start put some like red or gold or dragon on the label. So if they are happy to, change their label, then maybe that can be an idea to expand their sales there.
It's kind of like the fax machine, though. It's
Yes,
it's hard to it's hard to get people to change. And they
exactly.
have been making these beautiful labels that are very difficult to read, but beautiful labels, putting them on by hand for many, many years. And they of course, take such pride in doing it in the traditional method, like they make beautiful sake as well. But you are absolutely right. When it comes to an export market, you have to trust local marketers who understand that market and give you some advice about maybe changing the label or other ideas. That's really important.
Also, it seems like Chinese market likes the gold flakes, so maybe add the gold powder. There's no, nutritional value or whatever. It
This
doesn't
goes
make
right through. Yeah.
but if it that makes another um, opening of the new market, then they should try that as well.
I just learned that the gold leaf that's used in sake is actually made in Hiroshima, and I'm
Mhm.
based in Hiroshima, so that's
Yes.
interesting. I didn't know that. Just learned that the other day. You are also doing like brewery tour online events, is that right?
Yes. So we have been doing this weekly online sake event and featuring the small craft breweries every week, different sake breweries. And we get to see inside the brewery, which is the great part because normally, even during the visiting period, uh, people are not allowed to see the cozy room. But because of this situation, brewers kindly bring their iPhone and show inside the cozy room. So that's a online privilege, I would say.
Yeah, special. And you have some beautiful pictures when you go out to the sake brewery buildings. And I'm showing some of your visit photos right now. So when you've taken groups in the past, and you have some ideas for how the sake breweries can use the buildings in a new way. Would you like to introduce that idea? I love that.
Right. So I was hoping that one day we can open the sake brewery hotel. Um, yeah, so I have been trying to find a good brewery which can start collaborating with the sake brewery hotel. We haven't been able to find one yet. We have negotiated several, but we haven't been able to find that yet. Um, but it's we also have the sake making experience. So once in a year we went to like Niigata or Iwate, and yeah, so sake making experience is one of the very good popular experience.
Yeah, it looks like fun. And then, of course, after you experience making, you can taste it, which is always a very fun part.
Yeah.
But even if you don't make it, one of the things that I often do destination guide or destination area consulting, and people want to visit the sake making area, but quite often they're not open. So, if you walk around, you can see the beautiful big chimneys. It's beautiful old classic buildings. It's so picturesque that, of
Yeah,
course, people want to walk around and take photos, but often they can't buy any or they
exactly.
can't taste any because they're not open. So, some of the more successful places, or what I always suggest, is you just have a very small shop where you have a refrigerator for cold ones, room temperature for other ones, and you make it available for people to buy it. And I think people will. And then people will start coming more as
Mhm.
well, right? As a tourist destination.
Right, right, right. In Niigata, there is like a station with full of like you just insert the coin and you get the sake. I think those kind of idea is also cool because you can casually try out the different kinds of sake there.
That's an awesome idea. I have a vision of a really good idea for tasting because often, especially if you're not familiar, even if you're Japanese but you're not familiar with that brand, you
Mhm.
kind of want to taste it before you buy a big bottle, right? So,
Exactly.
like the coffee machines where
Mhm.
you just put your cup and then the coffee comes down, right? Why not make a tasting machine with the
Mhm.
same style? That you have your little sake tasting cup, and you can put it under, have a little tiny taste, and then you can buy, at the next machine, you can buy bigger bottles.
Mhm.
We just need to think a little bit more innovative.
Right. Actually, there is one in Omotesando.
Whoa.
It's like a Niigata antenna shop.
Uh-huh.
You just press the button, like, and then um, the bottle is actually already upside down, but you just need to place the cup, and then you can drink it with like 300 yen or so.
Wonderful. And then is that COVID safe? Like you don't have to touch? Is it sensor? Right?
Yes.
That's
Well,
perfect. Perfect. I love that. And that's a big problem now with people arguing you need to give plastic bottles of water for hydration. And I
Right,
always say water fountains are actually better because it's a sensor. You just put your own cup or you put a foot lever, right?
right,
So if we have something like that for a sake tasting or
right,
300 yen and you don't need the individual containers, that's
right.
even better. Wonderful.
That's true.
I want to go visit. That sounds like an awesome idea.
Good.
You have a lot of pictures of the buildings in an area called Makabe.
Yes. So Makabe is what so we had the sake brewery tour in Makabe. Nishioka Honten is the sake brewery. Today my background is different. It's sake brewery, but Nishioka Honten is really lovely. The area itself is under the preserved area for Japan. So when if you walk around the area in Makabe town, the buildings you see is all registered under the important property of Japan. So it's really nice. And Nishioka Honten's one of their buildings is also registered under the important cultural asset. So the building itself looks fabulous. Um, we had the sake brewery tour there, so we went and saw the sake making procedure. We sell their products as one of the goddess sets, but it sold it out. Hananoi is their brand's name. They have amazing dessert wine, which they harvest the sake rice at the inside the shrine. So we call it the holy rice because it's harvested inside the shrine. And then
Ah,
no pesticide is used. They use the ducks, so ducks would eat the insects. So no pesticide is used for the duck farming. So it's really healthy, and
yeah.
they
as
grow the
as a vegan, I'm so happy to see the ducks, and I know it's organic because they're using ducks. So I always say thank you to the farmers and say thank you for using the ducks. That's so wonderful that you can use ducks in to eat the bugs instead of using pesticides. I bet that's so good for the rice. And they always say, and the duck is really really delicious at the end of the season. And I'm like, okay, I feel kind of sad now. Yeah. But
right.
yeah, that's part of the process.
Mm,
They're feeding the ducks. They want to
yeah.
eat it. Yeah.
So whenever we go to the sake brewery, we try to visit around the town. So and also we hope to contribute to the local revitalization by doing so. If you stay like in Niigata or other places, that would also you know help with their economy as well. So
Yeah, definitely so important. And I think that's the future of tourism, I would say, after coronavirus, is that we need to stagger crowds. So we cannot have crowded places anymore. And we need to spend longer and have more quality travel experiences, right? So if
exactly.
you're taking people to sake brewery areas, walking around the rural area, eating or drinking or buying things at local shops. And this is the way tourism should be, should always have been, but definitely after COVID, I think.
Yes, I totally agree.
That's wonderful. I see in one of the Makabe pictures you have like a kimono shop. Beautiful.
I think they were having the exhibition there. It was right before the Girls' Day, Hinamatsuri. Their Hinamatsuri is quite famous in that town. A lot of the breweries or the kuras, they would showcase the Hinamatsuri. So
Wow, wonderful. For anybody who doesn't know, Hina Matsuri is for Girls' Day. It's a dolls festival, and very ornate, beautiful dolls are arranged in kind of a staggered format, and it's a very popular thing to go and look at. Yeah.
exactly. So we were like a month before the Hinamatsuri, but they were already decorating some places with the Hina. So when we went to the brewery, we saw the Hina done already, and that store over there was having kimono laid out and also the traditional outfit from like a Heian period. So that was quite interesting to see.
Yeah, that's great. In one of your interviews, I was listening to a small business Japan, maybe,
Yes,
and you were talking about the sake lease cooking, which is also a vegan cheese or a vegan ingredient. Can
yes.
can
Um,
you introduce that?
Sure. So sake leaves is so nutritional. It can be used to marinate fish, or you can be used to pickles. And sake leaves is so good nutritional, and you can use it for miso soup making, or you can use it in the baking purpose. Um, there is one of the product which is fermented with the lactic acid, the natural lactic acid from like made from like vegetables. So it tastes almost like a yogurt. So it's quite interesting to use it when you marinate it with on the meat or fish. It gets so soft and tasty.
Yeah,
So a lot
that's
of the sake leaves. I'm a big fan of sake leaves, and also you can make the sourdough. It ferments really well when you make the sourdough. So
wow. I just searched Google for sake lease recipe, and so many recipes came up in English. So, how do you buy sake lease? You can just buy it from the store?
yes, actually there are some sakelis available at the store, and also online store from the sake breweries as well. It is
Wow.
actually available.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So that's a great tip.
Mm.
Wonderful. Do you like cooking yourself? Do you have used it?
Yes, I marinate it with pork, and I also marinate with fish. I sometimes make it with the banana cake, um, like rice flour banana, and use it to replace like a cheese. Um, it it tastes a little bit like a cheesecake in a way.
Yeah, wonderful. Going back to when you started your businesses, you also took part in the JMEC.
Yes. So JMIC was an eye opener. I wish I knew JMIC before I started my business because it's more like a MBA version of uh, program. MBA is more like you're learning through lectures or creating the business plan, but not the real cases. JMIC is you work on the business plan, uh, the real actual business plan. So I think like 30% of the participants were either MBA holders. So it was quite interesting to create the business plan or so many things that I didn't know. And I wish I knew beforehand. It was really a good program.
Can you give us an example of something that you learned in the program and you were like, oh, I wish I knew that?
Right. So I'm not really good with the marketing.
Okay.
I'm not from the marketing field. So I never knew about the creating persona. So when you're targeting on certain market, you create this storyline. Who would be your customer? So based on that customer, you create this customer journey. So I didn't know any of those. And I thought that for marketing to sell your products, you really need to have a customer journey stories um, in well aligned well with your product. So that's what I learned.
Yeah,
Um,
stories are hugely important. And I think especially if you're trying to promote the sake breweries, building up stories about the brand is really important to connect with the customer, right? Especially like if I go to a sake shop, I love, or a wine shop, same thing. I don't know anything about wine. I don't know anything about sake. How do I choose? Right? I'm just looking at the label, or I'm getting advice from the staff, or I'm looking online for advice. But if you know a story, or you can tell the potential customer a story about this brand, it's so much more powerful. Oh, I want to buy that one, you know?
Exactly. It's very important to let the customers hear their story, how the sake is made, and also about their passion of sake making. That's really attracts people rather than the product itself. So I feel that story is very important.
Maybe for your sake geeks next
Yeah.
venture, that you
Yes.
can you can also talk about the labels a little bit, like how do you read the labels, because they're usually written in beautiful kanji but very hard very hard to figure out, like even where it's made is sometimes really difficult, right?
Yes, yes, yes. But we're all going to put that as well. Yeah, it's already written actually, but we're going to launch it really soon. We already have
Wow.
30 articles so far, and we're looking for more sake geeks to learn to join us as well.
So is it, tell us about it, is it going to be a blog or website or?
Yes, it's gonna be an information platform where you can also check out the small craft breweries and their products, and also about know-hows of sake. So all kinds of information you can see, from like basics to like mid-level knowledge to like a real sake geek. So we're going to create this like one sake geek, two sake geeks, three sake stars. So if you want to know more about geeky stuff, that's like when you check on the three-star sake geeks mark, and you would learn about like how the vintage sake is stored, or how how it's made, or those kind of rare stuff.
Wow, great idea. I'm also a huge fan of sake byproduct soap or beauty products. And I know that you mentioned, is it the lease or some of the koji is used in fertilizer on the farms? So, in
Yes,
terms of sustainability, quite a lot of the byproducts is used in a natural way as part of the cycle, right?
yes. Also, I think Shiseido or SK2, they also use ingredients from the sake byproducts as well.
Yeah.
So it's quite sustainable. There's nothing being trashed. So
That's wonderful, isn't it? I often go to Tokyo Hands. So Tokyo Hands is a chain around Japan for anybody who doesn't know. It's kind of a high quality department store. Can we describe it as that? And it's not Tokyo Hands, it's Tokyo Hands. And they always have a really nice like beauty and makeup and shampoo section. And inside, they often have very high quality soap which is made from the sake byproduct. I don't know
mhm.
if that's just in Hiroshima's area because we have a lot of sake breweries, but yeah, definitely go and see if you can find some. There's probably some online as well.
Yes, there are a lot of byproducts of sake leaves, or even from sake as well, like cosmetics stuffs,
Yeah, I love it.
lotions.
I always use it as a souvenir when I travel abroad because it's kind of like, when you move into a new neighborhood in Japan and you're supposed to take some soap to your new neighbors and say
Right.
yoroshiku onegaishimasu. So when I travel abroad as well, if I'm doing business, I often take beautiful Japanese soap because it's useful. It's something everybody can use, whether it's to their taste or not. Usually people can use soap, right?
Mhm.
Oh, we only have 2 more minutes. So, is there anything besides the Sake Geeks, anything else upcoming for you?
So I'm also volunteering for Few Japan. So we're always looking for the volunteers who would like to help me out with the special events. I'm in charge for the virtual lunches, and peer-to-peer mentorings. So anyone who's interested in Few Japan activities, please contact me.
So, it's not only for Tokyo, it's not only for Japan. Have you opened it up to international members or just women in Japan?
Well, this year, obviously, we cannot do anything physically, so everything is online. So we're accepting everyone from overseas as well.
So,
So if
tell me about the virtual lunch. What do you do?
so, virtual lunch, we come normally we give an opportunity for members to come up with their interesting topics, like how did you cope with their children during this pandemic. Like, how did you homeschool your children? Or that's our next session in September. And some ladies might come up with the like a COVID easy cooking ideas. So a lot of the interesting topics by the members. So I want to create the opportunity for members for speaking opportunities because you normally don't have that. So
Yeah, and I think that kind of support now when people are working from home, it's quite lonely, right? When you're just
definitely,
talking to people on computers instead of meeting people face to face. But if you have something that's not strictly work where you can just talk casually, like
mhm,
your drinking idea, the sake drinking idea as well.
exactly. So maybe I can give some tips like, oh, why don't you use some sodas or lemon to your sake if you didn't like that sake, or you can use it in the cookings, or we can talk about several topics, which is interest on depending on the interest of the people. So
That's wonderful. And I think sake is such a wonderful drink for women, especially because the sugar content is actually really low. So, women who are trying to watch their weight, or sugar sometimes plays with hormones. So, as you're going through later life, it's often a problem for beer or wine, but not sake or shochu. So, that's another added value.
thank you.
I love it. So, thank you so much for joining. I've learned so much from everything you're doing. You're doing so much.
Maybe I'm more like a ADHD person who's so much interested in so many things.
Well, go with your heart, go with your passion. And if you're loving what you're doing, then people are loving your work and you're helping the businesses, then, keep going. There's no reason to stop.
Thank you. Well, you only live once, so live your life and live to the fullest is my um, concept in life. So
It's a great motto. I love it. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for watching. We didn't have any questions or comments, but I hope you enjoyed it. We'll try to add some links below that'll be useful for you to follow up with things that we talked about. Tomorrow morning, we're talking to Hiroko and Matt about the yokai. So, nice topic tomorrow. Please join us again. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
thank you.